Hi everyone! So today we keep on talking about the phonemic chart, and this time we'll be looking at the vowels. The English phonemic system, the vowels. Best friends forever. So last time we saw that there is a difference between consonant sounds and vowel sounds, and the main difference is in the airflow. We saw that whenever you have a consonant sound, what happens is that the air leaves your mouth with some sort of obstruction. Two articulators will get in touch or approach each other so the air cannot escape freely. And then we saw that this is not true for vowels. What we saw is that in the case of vowels, the air is able to escape without obstruction, without constriction, without articulators touching each other. So if I have no articulators touching each other, how is it possible that sounds are different? How is E different from A or Ah? What do I have to do with my mouth? How do I classify vowels? With consonants, we need to understand the place of articulation, so which articulators are touching each other and how they are touching each other. But if this is not true for vowels, then place of articulation and manner of articulation is not something we look at when we're talking about vowels. So what do we look at? There are two things we'll be looking at: your tongue and your lips, and that's it. Your tongue is the main articulator which is responsible for how each vowel sound is different from one another. The way the tongue moves in your mouth will tell the difference between a E and a U sound, for example. Part 1. Monophthongs. So before we start talking about this, let's just recap that in the alphabet, we have some vowel letters: A, E, I, O, U. 5 vowel letters. But when you're talking about vowels in terms of phonetics and phonology, we are looking at these sort of sounds which happen with no obstruction. In English, there are 12 vowels, and all of them are somehow different from the Portuguese vowels. What that means is that your tongue position when you're making a Portuguese vowel is different from when you're making an English vowel. Let's understand a little bit better. To understand how vowels are made, we need to think of our mouth in terms of how we can move it vertically and horizontally. So you can move your tongue up, down, front and back. These are the movements you can make with your tongue. You can also make movements with your jaw here, your jaw. Now let's understand what I'm talking about here. So this is your tongue here, right? In your mouth, it can move up, down, front, or back. Whenever you want to make the sound E, let's see what happens.
E.
Look.
E.
So it moves
E.
up, so the tongue is high.
E.
And it also moves towards the front part of your mouth.
E.
Not the back.
E.
Now take a look at how your velum is up.
E.
And how your vocal folds are vibrating.
E.
That is true for all vowels. Let's take a look at an X-ray.
E.
This is your tongue here.
E.
Tongue, velum.
E.
Your tongue moves
E.
up, and it moves towards the front part of your mouth.
E.
Now let's check this one. Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh.
So what's happening with your tongue here? It is moving backwards and up.
Ooh.
So the tongue is high.
Ooh.
But it did not move towards the front part. It moved backwards.
Ooh.
So basically, there are 3 ways to classify vowels to differ one vowel from another. First, we'll take a look at the tongue height. If the tongue is high or low, this is the vertical axis. This is the vertical part of the analysis. Then we will classify it in terms of frontness or backness, if it moves front or back. And finally, we'll take a look also at the lip position. If your lip is round, if it is unrounded, if it is neutral. So when we're talking about tongue height, your tongue could be high or low, high or low, or somewhere in the middle. It could be mid-high or mid-low. When you're talking about the horizontal axis, it could be front, central, or back. Front, central, or back. Now, when you're talking about the lip position, it could be spread like this. It could be rounded like this. So rounded, spread. Some people instead of spread, they say unrounded. Unrounded, rounded. Spread, rounded. Or it could be neutral. So spread, rounded, neutral. Okay? Now look, in this way of classifying, we are just looking at the tongue. But some authors, instead of just looking at the tongue, they will also look at your jaw, mandibula, right? Because we just saw that when you make the sound E, your tongue is high, right? E, and it's also in the front part. And we also know that it is spread. E, okay? But also, when you say E, what happens to your jaw? Does it open or close? It closes. E. So some people, instead of talking about tongue height, they will talk about the jaw position. So this is another way of classifying. Jaw position, tongue frontness and backness, and lip position, just as we saw. The only difference is here. In number one, instead of taking a look at the tongue, we will look at the jaw. So first we could have a closed mouth, a closed jaw, like E, down to an open jaw, like ah, E, ah. So close, E, open, ah. Same thing here. But now you're looking at the tongue. The tongue is high, E, the tongue's low, ah. Okay? So these are the three things we use to classify vowels. So remember the International Phonetic Alphabet, the IPA, the instrument that classifies all sounds in all possible languages? What we saw last time is that consonants are distributed in this chart here. They are classified in terms of place of articulation, manner of articulation, voicing as well. Now look what happens with the vowels here. How are they classified? They are classified in terms of frontness or backness. And here, what happens to your jaw? If it's closed, closed mid, or open. If we were talking about the tongue position, it could be high, high mid, or low. Now, all of these symbols here represent most of the vowels within all languages. Not all of these vowels are used in the English phonemic system. As I told you, there are only 12. So you see that we have this sort of trapeze here that represents all possible vowel sounds that could happen in the space of your mouth, the places that tongue could move to, right? So in this course, we are looking at the possible sounds in English considering the adaptations made in the phonemic chart because it organizes all possible phonemes in English. So last time we saw the consonants. Now we are taking a look at the vowels. This is the upper part of the chart. Now, can you see that this is divided in two parts? So the first part, we are taking a look at the single vowels, the monophthongs. Each symbol represents one single sound. In the second part here, we are taking a look at diphthongs, a sort of combination of two short vowel sounds that are also considered phonemes in English. We talked about the phoneme E, which we saw is high and it's also front. Now, what it does here in this part is that it tries to represent that trapeze I just showed you. Imagine now you're looking at the profile of a person, just like this. So you could see the tongue would be something like this, la 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 la, right? So what we have with the vowel chart here is we have the vowels here, and you will imagine that your tongue is here. You're looking at me like this, and this is my tongue. It is relaxed. I'm not talking. It's in the central part. If you want to say E, what it has to do, it has to move up and front, just like this. E, E. If you want to make a sound like ooh, you still need to go up, but you need to go backwards as well, just like ooh, ooh. For some sounds, just like it just skips here. Nothing happens. If you want to make this sound, so it needs to go down and front. So this works as a reference to what kind of movements, high or low, front or back, the tongue is making. Now, something for us to take a look at in this chart is that some of the symbols here, they have this two dots here. They're called colon. And what do they mean? It means that this sound is long. E as in tree, sea. E as in fish, bit, beat, leave, live. So you see, this sound here is a short vowel sound. This difference between short vowels and long vowels does not exist in Portuguese. There is no difference of you saying árvore or árvore. That doesn't make a difference. Or igreja or igreja, right? In Portuguese, our vowels are all somewhat considered short. Now, in English, they are considered different phonemes. E, because we have minimal pairs, just like seat, sit, beach. Now, we are going to understand how we produce each of these vowel sounds in our mouths. But before that, let's check what are those 12 vowels that we have in English, just so you can start relating to them a little bit better. I believe you have already seen some videos introducing the vowel topic, which provide examples of each sound and explain a little bit how they work. In this video, I am going to use the BBC phonemic chart as a reference. I am going to make some comments about CNN, but this difference between the two phonemic charts, I will make it clearer in the next videos. So here are the 12 vowels we have in English, the 12 monophthongs, right? So as I told you, these ones here with these two dots, the column, they are long.
E, U, O, A.
And the other ones are short.
I,
E,
I, Ut,
E,
E,
A.
A. a,
Okay, so here we have
E.
as in
seat,
and,
green,
and
tree,
here we have
it,
as in
sit, grin,
and.
fish,
So you see that
E.
as in seat
seat,
versus
It.
as in sit are minimal pairs, so they are considered different phonemes. Here we have
foot,
as in
good, good,
and
ooh,
ooh as in
food,
food, good, food, good, fish, seat, and then
eh,
as in
head,
and
bet, said,
said, head, and then we have attention to this sound because this is the most common sound in English. It has a name. It's called schwa, as in
teacher, observer,
and
about,
about, observer, and computer, computer, and then this is the long version of this sound here. They're the same. This one is short, this one is long, just like in
girl,
girl,
nurse,
nurse,
earth,
earth. All right. Now this is
or,
all, just like
door,
door, and
for,
and
walk,
walk.
or,
This is
ah,
a. This is a mixture between the Portuguese a and a. A. Just like had, cat, taxi,
apple,
apple. This is look. These sounds are technically the same sound. You will understand a little bit better when to use each of them. Just like
cup,
cup,
money, money,
money, and
love,
love. And this is just like car.
oh,
Just like
hot,
hot. This is a mixture between o and a.
hot,
Hot. Stop.
want,
This sound does not exist in CNN English, just BBC English. Normally, words that are realized using this sound in BBC English use either this sound or this other sound. In some varieties of North American English, some people will say hot and some people will say hot. It's very hot today, but not
oh,
we are talking about how this first part of the vowel chart is organized in terms of tongue, vertical and horizontal position. So take a look. These are the high vowels and these are the low vowels. So that means your tongue is up, your tongue is down, your tongue is high, your tongue is low. Or remember, when your tongue is high, your jaw is closed. When your tongue is low, your jaw is open. What about these ones here? Your tongue is relaxed. They're central sounds, right? In terms of height. Now, in terms of frontness and backness, these are the front vowels, these are the back vowels, and these two columns here are central vowels as well, okay? Another thing we take a look at when we're classifying vowels, it's the lip position. So for example, when I pronounce E, my lips are spread. So we can say that all the front sounds in the phonemic chart are spread. E, a. You see that my mouth opens as I move down, but lips are still spread. Different from what happens with the back sounds. Oo, aw, ah. All of them are rounded. This is what we have here. These three phonemes here, they are spread in terms of roundness. Now these three ones here, they are rounded. What about these two columns here? All of them are neutral. Ah,
ah,
ah, o, e,
ah,
right? They are considered neutral in terms of roundness. The first vowel we saw was
E,
which is high and front.
E,
But then we have another front vowel.
E,
Take a look. This one here, is a short vowel, but it's not as frontal as the other one.
E,
All right, so it's also high, it's also frontal, but it's short and it happens slightly backwards. Now then we have uh,
uh,
uh.
uh,
Look,
uh,
this is
uh,
your tongue moves up, but it moves backwards, right? So this is a high vowel, but it's also a back vowel. But this vowel is not as backish as this one. Ooh.
oo, oo, oo,
You see the difference? Both of them are high, but this one moves even backer.
oo, oo, oo,
Okay?
oo,
And then we have which also moves to the front part of your mouth, and it also moves up, but not very much, right? Not as E. And then we have
ah,
uh.
ah,
Look what happens. Your tongue is relaxed. It's just in the central part of your mouth. It doesn't move up. It doesn't move down. It just becomes more central.
ah, ah,
You see, it doesn't approach your lips or your velum.
ah,
Okay, this is the schwa sound. The next phoneme is the long schwa, which is realized exactly like the short schwa, except it lasts longer. As in bird. You will see later that the long schwa in North American English is also represented with a sound as well. It's not only as in British English. It is but it's also considered a central sound. So then for the sound
ah, ah,
as in for, you see that this is
ah,
a back vowel
ah,
and central vowel.
ah,
When we are producing it, we will round our lips.
ah,
Let's look at this one.
ah, ah,
Right, so what happens with your tongue here? It is in low position
ah,
and it's also in frontal position.
ah,
Okay? And your mouth, your jaw opens a little.
ah, ah,
Now, speaking of the schwa sounds, you will understand later that this sound, isolated, is realized just like the schwa sound in the same places.
ah,
Like this.
ah,
But because the schwa sound is a weak sound, it doesn't appear in stressed syllables, only in unstressed syllables, like about. In this word, the stressed syllable is bout. Therefore, we will use the schwa. Now, if you have a word as up, or cut, or discover, you will need to pronounce it with more preeminence. Therefore, you will use this symbol. Okay? And then look at this one.
ah, ah, ah,
So what happens is that your tongue is lowering and it's the back part of your tongue which is moving. So this is a low and back vowel. Now for the next vowel, ah, because this is an American software and because this is a vowel that exists only in BBC English, I couldn't find the actual description of the sound production. But, rule of thumb, just pretend you were pronouncing the previous sound, ah, but now you will have your lips rounded, ah. Now look, all those sounds that are represented in the phonemic chart are now distributed in their classification, right? So first we have here E as in sheep. It is a front vowel, so your tongue moves to the front part of your mouth. Your tongue is high and your jaw is closed. Now let's see how we classify vowels. First, we'll look at their length, if they are long or short. So in the case of this vowel here, E, it is a long vowel. It's not only long, it's also high and front, all right? Now, what is the position of your lips when you produce a E sound? E, they are spread. So this is how we classify it. First, we talk about the length, then the height of the tongue or the openness of the jaw, then the frontness or backness of the tongue, then the roundness, right? If the sound is round or spread or neutral. Look at this sound here. Uh. This is a short vowel. It is a low mid vowel. It is low, right? But there are some other sounds that are lower. So it is a low mid vowel. It is central in terms of frontness or backness, and my lips are neutral. Uh. You see how in this organization we have the trapeze here and how they are distributed in it. We consider frontness and backness, tongue height or jaw openness, right? And then we know that back vowels are round, front vowels are spread, and central vowels are neutral. Now let's talk about diphthongs. Part 2, Diphthongs. Alright, so we saw that in this first quadrilateral here, regarding the vowels, we have the monophthongs, the single sounds. Now let's take a look at the second quadrilateral here. What we have here is what we call diphthongs, and they are organized in 3 columns that we'll be talking about. But first, what is a diphthong? A diphthong is a result of a glide from one vowel to the other. A result of a glide from one vowel to the other. And what that means is that it is a result of a movement from one vowel to the other. So for example, in the word height, you have a diphthong because you start with a vowel sound and you end with a different sound. This movement from one vowel to the other is called glide. Okay, so if I have 2 short vowel sounds in a sequence, why are they considered just one phoneme and not 2 phonemes in a sequence? Because if you take these words, for instance, hat, hot, and hit, you can see that the only difference between them is one sound. These sounds make these words minimal pairs. That means that they are phonemes. So what we can say is that this transition from this one vowel to the other happens very fast, and in the phonological system of English we should consider it as a phoneme. Now let's talk a little bit about how they are organized and which diphthongs we have in English. So here we have diphthongs. As you can see, they are split in 3 columns, and we will talk about why they are organized this way. But first, let's see which ones they are.
ear,
Ear, as in
ear, here,
Here, remember, we're talking about BBC. We have as in
cure,
cure. And then
air,
as in
air, there,
there. All right? And then in the second column,
a,
as in
eight,
eight. And then
oi,
as in
boy,
boy. And then
I,
as in
my,
my. And then O,
oh,
as in
no,
no. And then
ow,
as in
now,
now. Let's understand why they are organized this way. So here you have the three columns, and they are organized this way because each of these columns have something particular. In the first column, all of the diphthongs end with the sound In the second column, all of the diphthongs end with the sound e. And then in the last column, all of the diphthongs end with the sound o. All right? Now let's see what happens here. In this first case here, you have that all of the diphthongs end with the sound So you have e, you have o, and you have e. So you can say that all of these sounds end in a central way. They start different, but then they move towards the central part of the chart. You can say that these are sounds that are centering in a. These are centering diphthongs, all right? Now take a look at this one here. What you have is that all of the sounds, all of the diphthongs end with a. So you have oi, I. You see that this is a new sound here? It's in between and I. And then a. All right? All of these sounds end in a, which is a closing sound. So we can say that in the second column, all of the diphthongs are closing diphthongs. They are closing in a. And then, last but not least, we have o and ow. All right? So these two diphthongs end in o, which is also a closing sound. What are we calling closing here? Remember, when you produce the phonemes in this first row here, you have to close your mouth. You have to close your jaw. So these sounds, these diphthongs, are all closing in o. So this is what you have here for BBC. You have centering diphthongs ending in a, and you have closing diphthongs ending in e and o. This is for BBC. Now, what happens in North American English in CNN is that you will see that there are only two columns. So you see, we only have diphthongs ending in e and o. So we only have closing diphthongs. There are no centering diphthongs in North American English. And we will understand why a bit better in the other video. But let's check at the difference. This column here is exactly the same as BBC. Now in this column here, the difference is that instead of saying O, as in no, the sound is O, no. Other than that, exact the same. Right, so now that you know the consonants, you know the vowels, the monophthongs and the diphthongs, you're all set to start transcribing. Of course, there are still many details we need to talk about, but you get the gist, right? So, I hope you like it. Until next time.